Is it not letting you get on the live? What's happening? It's so funny now that we want to go live after us going to go check on the facility, we having problems with the going live. Let me see. Okay, I'll try again. Natural.
Can you see me?
No, I can't see you.
Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. I can see myself, but I can't see you. That's wild.
But I do think if we post it, it may show us. And I only say that because when I got out the last live you were doing, I saw myself and I saw you on the live. So I don't know if they're trying to. Oh, they can see us. So
that's weird.
That's
weird.
Okay.
Like I can't see you at all. That's fine. That's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So pretty much, we just want to let everybody know what kind of went on today. We ended up going to the Woodland Christian Towers. Sister Natural, the commander of the Hugh Newton Gun Club chapter of Houston, has been going out there for weeks now. Getting a call with horrible living conditions, things not in order, things not up to date. And so just Natural, just let everybody know everything that's been going on leading up until today.
Well, it all started with a wellness check that we had on the elder, right? So whenever we got to the facility, we saw him living in basically deplorable conditions. Like, not only, I'm not just talking about just his living area and how he was living. It's a simple fact that the maintenance, they weren't up on their job. Like the whole entire apartment was in shambles. Basically, there was no lights, like light fixtures. There were some light fixtures on, but no bulbs in the light fixtures. He's 70% blind. He's legally blind, so there's no way he could even see himself around the place, and he stays by himself, right? So there was no smoke detector. It was like electrical wires hanging out of the ceiling. Whenever you walked into his room, like the cord on the air conditioning was cut and all the wires were exposed, which is a hazard. The socket, there was no socket. There was no socket to plug anything in, and the wires were hanging. All the electrical wires were exposed as well. So whenever I seen that, I instantly got extremely upset and I started recording. So that's how it all started. So when that video came out, right? First of all, the caregiver, he did have a caregiver, and I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but the caregiver was terminated like immediately after that video was released, and we seen the type of conditions this elder was living in. So then when the video became trending, I had lots of residents contact me and let me know the situation there at Woodland Christian Towers. They were basically saying that it was drug dealers going in and out of the facility, and security allegedly was aware of the traffic and was allowing the drug dealers to come in. They didn't live on property. There's one that does live on property that we know of, right? But there was one that actually does not live on property, but they give them access to the facility, knowing what he does, right? And so when I spoke to the property manager about a lot of concerns I had, of course, she was very rude. She was disrespectful. She didn't want to hear anything that we had to say. So I started contacting the necessary agencies that I needed to contact by phone, via email. Blew everybody up, and just for everybody to know that they are under investigation, and that's not no rumor. They're under investigation, and I can't wait. I can't wait until they hit every single room and investigate every single room, because the conditions of that place is just it's just deplorable. It's disgusting. I don't even see how they have those residents living in those conditions. So I don't understand being as hot as it is outside, not having any type of air conditioning, any type whatsoever. They're telling me, okay, well, they put in maintenance orders, for maintenance, and maintenance don't get back with them. Right. So, yeah.
Only that, they talked about the different security companies that have been through there, contracted through there, and how the security, the residents are telling us that they know security is not getting paid, and they know that the security company, the owner of the company, waits to get paid from the facility to pay his workers. And so what does that mean for a person who's doing work? They don't really care about taking their job seriously. They're just trying to get in, do their hours, and get up out of there. They don't care if Dick, John, and James came through there. They don't care. Because it's too late back around there until somebody comes up dead. And so that's a big concern when the residents are mentioning about the security that is there. And not only that, another brother mentioned about the residents being part of the hygiene or the hazard in there, but I can see that, and that's part of it. But just like any other complex, any other facility, there's maintenance, there's janitors that clean up, and it should be cleaned up every single day.
Now, did you smell the stench that was coming from those hallways when we walked those hallways? Did you smell that?
It doesn't smell clean. It doesn't smell pleasant. And I feel like the higher up you went, the warmer it got. We got to the 7th floor. It was hot. It's already 80 degrees outside. So it's 80 degrees, if not higher, inside on that floor. It's foggy. My stomach started hurting, literally, from being up there.
It was disgusting. The smell was so nasty.
We gotta hope it's not a dead body up there. We don't know.
So let me tell you about that. So I was reading some of the comments, right? When Grizzy had reposted my video, there was this one woman saying that they had a fire there, and her loved one was died from smoke inhalation, and it took them 2 days to find him dead, to find his body. And I'm like, so if you had a fire at the facility, why you didn't knock door to door and find out if everybody's okay? They don't care about those people. Those people are just a paycheck. And not only that, let's talk about paychecks. Let's talk about them, giving them their rent money, and then all of a sudden they're behind on rent. They have receipts showing, hey, I paid for rent. But how were you like $1,500 or $500 or so behind in rent when you've been paying your rent all this time? Whenever these residents started speaking out and they started contacting me, they started skimming through my Facebook page to see which residents like this or comment on this. And that's how they were able to find some of the residents that were there living at the facility. And they're like, okay, let's put 2 and 2 together. They're the ones who's probably sending the information. Some of them they really do got wrong, so they're picking on some of the wrong ones, So, a lot of them has sent me paper copies of violations they were supposedly had. All of a sudden, after all this time, okay, if let's say they had somebody staying with them, and they knew for a fact that this person was staying with them for X amount of time, right? Why wait until this video come out to be like, hey, this person gotta go. This person is not on a lease, or you have this wrong, or this is taking place, or this is under violation. Why not? Why are they being hit with all of these violations all of a sudden in eviction notices? Make it make sense. They're trying to quiet those people and hush those people up, and that's why I told them that I'm going to be their voice. We're going to be their voice, because there's no way that they should be bullied or intimidated or afraid to speak. No.
Right. And I want to add to that too is, that's a real thing. I have done other work in Fifth Ward and other areas where a lot of elders stay, and they will use scare tactics, turning off water, turning off lights to scare them from speaking up and standing up on what's right. And so this is why we continue to show up every day, every week to these places. And so something else that we noticed, what was it? Oh, the people who own the Woodland Christian Towers, CCH, the Christian Church Housing. And you have to understand that this manager, the people who own these properties, they own a bunch of them all around the city of Houston. And just think about the other ones that also look this way under the Christian Church Housing. And these people pay between $300 to maybe $600 a month, and they don't really care about them because they know that these people are getting a check. If they're disabled and they're elder, they're probably getting a check, and they know that, and they know that these people need somewhere to stay. And so again, when you paying $300 a month and you need somewhere to stay, people are not going to be doing that too much talking.
You know what one woman told me? She was like, Natural, I really want to speak up. I really want to be a voice. I'm tired of living this way. I'm here for a change because I don't want to be out on the streets. And for me, speaking out and giving out information and and she was like, it's not all about me. It's about, the elderly here. She was like, I'm really focused on the elderly. And I feel like, I want to have a voice, but I don't have a voice because they're threatening to kick me out. And she sent me the paperwork, and I'm like, they can't do that. And she was like, well, they're trying to find any reason that they can to just get rid of me. So her fear is going right back on the street. Like a lot of their fears are going right back onto the street.
A lot of them don't have the type of money to be filing lawsuits or taking them to court. And so this is another reason why it's so important that as community and organizations that we get together and we start creating a legal defense team for things like this, or so we can have the funds to help people and ourselves in this situation. There's no reason why anybody, whether it's an independent living facility or assisted living, it really doesn't matter, because it's a facility. There's a property manager that they pay rent to, and they have maintenance there, and they have people that clean up there. And so if somebody, and we got to find out if these people are also sending in maintenance requests to get these things fixed as well, because if they're ignoring the maintenance requests, like the wires and things like that, that's a problem.
So actually I have paperwork showing that, because what I started telling them to do, and I'm going to say it on live, they stalk my page anyway, so that's what's funny to me. So listen up. Maintenance, Woodland Christian Towers, CCH, they send in their maintenance orders, right? And I tell them, make sure you send a copy, or make sure you take a picture of it and send it to me. And that's what they have been doing. They haven't gotten to any of those work orders as of yet. None of them. And so one person was like, okay, well, I needed my air fixed. And they told me, oh, you're just going to have to wait because we don't have the part for it. What? That's what was told to them. So they gave her the work order back. So no, they're not taking care of those people like they should. And the first thing the property manager want to tell me is, oh, it's independent living. You know, nobody here needs actual assistance, but, you know, you are, you know, a place that you serve low-income seniors and low-income seniors and people with disabilities from 18 on up. Right. So they have these little pull cords like they have in the hospital, right? So if it's just like straight up independent living, what are those for then? And right. You know what? Whenever I was there and I had pulled that cord, do you know security answered that? Security. So I wonder if security is trained medically to assist in those type of situations. Mm. Like, what do they do? Right. Right. That whole place there, I mean, it's no way, like, as you can see, you went there for yourself. It's no way that they could be passing inspection legally. Ain't no way.
And when you get other people, you know, saying, and caregivers who go there for their patient and their client saying that this is horrible. It's been horrible 12 years ago. It's been horrible, you know, 30 years ago. You know, that's a big concern. And I don't know why, you know, nobody is doing their part. The city, people who's doing these inspections that are calling them out on it. And so it's very unfortunate. And, you know, to get back to the news, on us doing this with Grizzly, let's talk about us being able to do this with the Grizzly Hood News, and no major news station, Channel 2, 11, 13, 26, 39, did not want to take this news. They had to investigate, you know. What do we say about that?
The story wasn't juicy enough for them. Nobody got murdered, you know. It wasn't
about no turkey leg hood and land.
That's what I'm saying. Or making us look bad as a people. You know, it wasn't about none of that. You know, so they didn't pick up the story because it wasn't juicy enough for them.
But when they find out somebody dies or dead there, they're gonna be all over like white on rice.
Right. But see, that's why, you know, I just went ahead and went to Grizzly Hood News, because as far as I'm concerned, that's the only news here in Houston that give a damn about certain things. That, you know, like, they won't pick up certain things if it ain't death, if it ain't like a robbery or a police shooting or something like that, or a police kill. Man, they don't care about us. We just numbers. You know what I mean? We just numbers.
But what's crazy is too, they don't care about us, and nobody showed up. I mean, the police showed up. Grizzly Hood News was there, but so guys, we got there and started going live at 1:00, if not a little bit after 1. Nobody showed up. No reporter, no news. Nobody showed up but the HPD. But somehow, as soon as we got done at 2:00, if not a little bit before 2, Houston Chronicle already has an article out for the public to look at. And my question is, Natural, how can the Houston Chronicle have an article out when they didn't send no journalists, they didn't send any reporters, nor did they want to pick up the story when asked, but here they are, piggybacking off of somebody else's live and news and using it like it's theirs. Because that says a lot about the media too as well.
For real news, they watch her for news stories. That's what they do. They watch the stories that they don't want to pick up. They wait till it gets really big on her platform, and then they want to report on it. That's basically what they do. I mean, it wasn't important to you whenever I'm telling you, okay, hey, these elders are going up without air conditioning. They're in hazardous conditions. They didn't care about that. But did you see how many officers showed up for us? It was like about
it was more than 10 officers. It was at least 10, if not a few more.
Yeah. Oh, it was more than 10.
And because 2 members had rifles. One had a rifle, one had an AR or whatever, and rightfully so. That's our right. We can do that. It's part of our uniform. just like their gun and their badge and all this is a part of their uniform. So that's just what that is. But also it goes to show how the media works, how the news stations work. What they want a soap opera. You know, they want somebody to be dead or ran over for them to take the story, but they will piggyback off of somebody else, then say, "Can we ask you some questions?" And my thing is, they put an article out, and maybe naturally you can post it in this live here, so people can look at it.
But it was misinformation though, because first of all, we didn't protest. This wasn't a protest. This wasn't an armed protest. We didn't protest.
It wasn't a protest.
What we did was what was that?
No, I'm agreeing with you. It wasn't a protest.
No. Not at all. Not at all. I would call it an armed patrol. I would call it a patrol.
And that's it. And so,
we gave Grizzly a tour of the facility.
And so, guys,
we allowed the public to see what I saw, almost what I saw. I mean, because what I saw was completely disturbing, but of course, we couldn't get into these apartment units like I wanted to, because too many people was afraid. They backed out. They backed out. So
the people were scared. If y'all go on Grizzly Hood News and look at the video, the people, when we asked them questions, they only could give short answers, or they couldn't do that right now at this moment. They couldn't talk because of fear of what may happen to them. You can't evict anybody out for speaking up on their poor living conditions. But you can't do that.
What? They've been bullying them. They have a couple of residents that and I'm just gonna say it, that is on drugs. Oh, I'll get someone called. Give me a second. Let me. They have so many residents that know what's going on, that they're addicts themselves, and they don't want us there. You know what I mean? They don't want us there, and so the ones that are speaking out, they're bullying them as well.
Right.
Had a couple of cases like that where they contact me and like, okay, well, Miss Natural, I don't know what to do because I'm being bullied or I'm being targeted. And not only am I being targeted by the staff, I'm being targeted by some of the residents. And I'm like, okay, well, how did they know? Okay. All right, Shaka.
Right. So exactly. And so you guys, we're definitely going to do our part, but just make sure you guys do your part. And this is just one of many. And so there's so many people coming through and giving out other locations. That's just one of many. And these are our seniors, and they know they're in vulnerable states. They know they get checks every month, like clockwork. And it's the system, and so that's what we're fighting up against. And so, Natural, we appreciate you for all that you do, Hip Newton Gun Club, and everybody else who came out to show up in solidarity with Hip Newton Gun Club. This is not for show. It's not for fame. It's not for accolades. We are the people's police. And there's so many people also commenting on the Grizzly Hood News video, asking, are we the Black Panthers? Why do we have firearms? Because we can have firearms. Because it's our right. Because it's legal. Because it's a part of our uniform.
And why do we have badges? Because we're security. We're licensed security. So we're going to have badges. No, we're not police officers.
We're not trying to be the police. We're not trying to be HPD. But we're doing our part for our community. And so, but because we know that backlash is not coming from our people. That's coming from the others.
Of course. You already know. And we're not concerned about that. We just do what we do, and we're going to continue doing what we do.
So if anybody else knows of any other facilities that have harsh conditions, whether they be independent living or assisted living, because there's some nursing homes that are not up to par either, feel free to post them, tag them, send them to the Houston Gun Club page, Houston chapter, and we'll do our due diligence. But it's time for CCH, Christian Church Housing. It's time for the Houston Housing Authority. It's time for HUD. Now it's people to step up their shit.
Absolutely.
Because this is just part of the corruption that's going on in the city of Houston. This is a part of it, a little piece of the corruption that's happening. And so we're here just to bring the things to light and do our part.
Right.
Anything else you want to say, Natural?
No, you basically said everything that I wanted to say. You're good. Yeah. It's just a sad situation, is all. It's just a sad situation.
Because if it was their grandparent and their mother or their father, they'd have a different attitude. The ones that are speaking on the comments and the people who are owning these facilities.
And you know what's crazy about it? It's not even only the elderly. There is disabled people there as well. And that's the tripped out part about it. Whether it's mental illness or a mental disability or a physical disability. I mean, it's not just our elderly. I mean, of course, we're concerned about our elderly, but it's the disabled as well.
Right.
I mean, and to live under those conditions is just.
And understand, as a senior citizen and as a disabled person from 18 and up, you're automatically labeled vulnerable and a target potentially.
Yeah. And I wanted to clear that up because I accidentally said up to 18 in the video. What I meant was 18 and up. You know, so I have to correct that. Yeah. I was so upset whenever I got there. So I was all over the place. But you know, it's not only violations of codes, it's violation of basic human decency. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
because they're living in high rise lofts in East downtown, and y'all come over here being slumlords.
But you know what? I did research on CCH, and they have a lot of bad reviews when it comes to their properties. They're dealing with the same thing in other states, and I'm like, wow. Like, why are y'all even still around? How are y'all even still around, and who is allowing
the
this?
Money, the funding? Yep. If people are giving the money because of Christian Church, the name, and they're giving the money, and people are giving not only are they misappropriating the money, but they're not using it for what it needs to be used for. Because that building has been there since 1971,
and they have gotten so many, like Woodland Christian Towers itself. I've done my research. They have gotten millions of dollars. They definitely not putting it into that facility. And when I say millions, I'm talking about millions.
And this is, again, part of the corruption. This is the corruption. This is a part of it. Money being misappropriated. Money not being used for what it needs to be used for. Especially when it comes to our seniors and our elders and people that's disabled. And so we want people who are watching this video, who see this, to do your part. Make the phone calls, call the news stations, call these facilities. You know, all you gotta do is look at the reviews, and they're gonna tell you all you need to know.
The reviews are shameful.
Horrid.
They gotta be ashamed.
Jailhole, drug infested, bug infested, rat infested, poor management, sorry maintenance, all the things. 2 stars. But when this is the only place you have to go, because it fits your budget, what can you do or say? That's why one brother was like, it's fair. What does fair mean to you? You get to keep a house over your head because you pay them a little bit of money?
You know, and it's sad to see, you know, and I know you can't save everybody, but it's sad to see people, you know, that are products of their environment, you know? Right. And it's like you keep like pumping drugs into the facility knowing that some of those people are recovering addicts. Then they'll say, okay, well, why aren't they strong enough? You not to take the drugs. But then again, like, why are you taking advantage of that? Why are you taking advantage of the fact that they, they have a problem or they had a problem, They can't, it's like, what these people are going through. And still you're allowing, it's just, they're preying on the vulnerable. You're allowing the drug dealers to come in. And the crazy thing about it is them trying to get us banned from the property. And we are trying to be the solution here. We're trying to be the help. We're trying to, to help clean up the place because, obviously HPD isn't doing it. Obviously,
they don't want a,
security
they don't want a
that's there is
solution.
not doing it.
They don't want a solution. They want to keep those people in the same condition that they are in. They don't want them to vibrate high. They want them to stay in that low vibrational space and be okay with it as they reap the benefits of those people. And again, this is another reason why, a legal defense team and having people on our side who can go to bat for us is so important.
Excuse me.
Because these people living on fixed incomes, they don't have the money to go take them to court. They don't have the money to take them to court for giving them false eviction letters. They don't have the energy to do it.
Yep.
So this is a concern and a problem. It's a you problem. It's a me problem. My father always told me it's not your fault, but it is your problem. It's a city of Houston problem.
And that's why I couldn't turn a blind eye to it. And I'm not going to, and this is not the end of it. And like I told them, they're going to be held accountable every single day until they make changes around there. Every single day. And I promise you, and I've kept that promise. For the past 2 weeks, I've been giving them hell. And not only social media hell, everything I do is on the back end. I don't have to post anything. You know how that go. So.
Exactly.
Yep.
But this video is also to clear up the speedy loosely written article by Houston Chronicles that wasn't on the scene. And it's so interesting that now after they watch Grizzly Hood News video, they're asking to question, Sister Natural about what happened, but you wasn't there. And so, I mean... Yeah,
they wrote a whole article on what they thought took place, without reaching out to one of us or speaking to one of us. And they just wrote what they wanted to write.
And that's
interesting.
That's why these news you get a lot of false information, and it's always changing because they don't have the full truth. They just want to put it out there, and then they dig for more information. And they want to put it out there. So this is
ask me for an interview. After you post that bogus story, then you want to jump in my inbox and ask me for an interview. Ain't that crazy?
So we're watching, Houston Chronicle. We're watching all these different news stations because we're going to wait and see what happens after today. We're going to be watching. We're going to see who else picks up the story because before it wasn't that important. But it's so interesting that y'all can elaborate and emphasize that we had firearms. Concealed firearms at that.
That's their biggest fear, Black people with firearms.
That was the biggest concern. They're armed. They had a rifle. They had that. They do armed stage protests. This wasn't no protest, and it wasn't staged. We pulled up.
I'm sorry, who had the signs? Because I didn't see any signs. We
didn't have any signs. We wasn't protesting.
We weren't screaming anything.
We wasn't screaming anything. Wasn't screaming Black Power, wasn't screaming none of that.
That's wild.
Man, Mike, get out of here, Mike. Get out of here.
I'm trying to ignore his comment. Mike is crazy.
Get out.
Thank you, sis. He's crazy.
But this is not the first one, but the last one. There's more facilities that we need to put on blast. Mm-hmm. And if you have a loved one that's staying there and living there, you have the right to get on their ass and call the proper people who need to call. HUD, CCD, anything dealing with seniors, independent living. So we're gonna do our part, make sure y'all do y'all's, and I mean that's pretty much it. Is anything else you want to say and add to this?
I want to say something to the residents at Woodland Christian Towers. Do not be afraid to speak out, and you can always remain anonymous. You can always hit me up or hit up the UEP Newton Gun Club Houston chapter page. Leave a message or an email. Don't be afraid to speak up. We will keep you anonymous, but we're here to help you. So that's really all I have to say. Stay strong. And if you're afraid to speak, we will be your voice. That's all I have to say.
That sounds good.
That's my concern is the people. That's really my concern. To hell with everything else.
But that's it, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining the live. Thank you, sis, for getting on.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with some updates. Hopefully we'll get some. We'll see what happens. We'll be watching the news and see who else was on the scene and took the story and made it.
They will.
Made it something that it wasn't, because they love to twist our words and what we do, because every police call that the police get, it doesn't warrant firearms, but guess what? They got it on their hip because it's a part of their uniform. And we need the people police because the police are not going to show up for everything that we do. People asking, y'all want to be the police? No, we're not imposters. We're not acting like anybody else. We're for the people.
Yeah.
And if you care for the people too, you'll be doing the same thing. But some people just don't care.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's it, family. We're not intimidated. Don't you be intimidated. And we're gonna make sure that we do our part. But not only this complex too, but the other many ones. And I think this what you've been doing, Natural, is going to open up a can of worms for everybody else. So if your shit is out of date and out of order, you better get your shit in order.
Right. Because we're going to be on your ass.
Because even in the video that we did, somebody pointed out the ceiling not being intact.
And it's like that many places in the facility. Many places. They have so many violations, it's crazy. That's why I'm like, who is passing y'all? Like who are y'all giving money to pass? I mean, I wonder if it's the same inspector coming out every single time, because that ain't no way. We got to get some honest folks up in there.
And that too, people are in cahoots with each other. All you need is, hey, I'm gonna give you extra 1,000 if you just do this for me, or don't do this for me.
Mm-hmm. Or they show them the nice looking units. They don't go from unit to unit to unit to unit, but it's going to happen soon. Ask me how I know.
Right.
I'm gonna keep that quiet. Yeah. That's a big building, 7 stories. I just hope they prepared for what's to come. What's her name? Seychelle Lewis or whatever her name is. She loved to stalk my page. But instead of you stalking my page, get your shit together at your facility. I understand that you could only do so much. You know what I mean? But get yourself, the part that you can play your part.
Right.
And do it right. You understand what I'm saying?
She knows there's corruption happening there.
Allegedly, she's a part of it. Allegedly, I'm going to say that. Allegedly, the residents are letting me know that she has, knowledge of those drug dealers coming up into the facility, and they're allowing it. I actually have a video where they're actually covering one of the people and that don't even live there and bringing them into the facility. I think it was like a blanket or something that they were covering up the person with and trying to smuggle them into the facility.
Right.
Sad, right? But see, certain things that I haven't exposed. It's certain conversations, just like the security guard that put them on blast that night and then he quit. It's so much I could have put out there, but you know what? I didn't want to just throw a company out there without getting the facts and actually investigating the situation. So I didn't post everything, but I still have it. though.
Right. And the fact that, the sister, I guess she wasn't there. I guess she got whiffed of what was happening and she pulled up and she stayed, from what another member said, that she pulled up and she stayed in her vehicle until stuff died down and she came out. And when she noticed us, and when we noticed her and Natural called her out, all she did was wave.
Yeah, it's childish. You can tell.
So
that
lets me know you're immature, you're childish, but also you're
scary too. On top of it,
that part.
You're scary too. On top of it, what we were gonna do to you? That's funny.
Because if you care about the living condition of those people, what we're saying is not wrong. Why are you afraid to talk to us and have a simple conversation? But you'll talk to HPD though, and they ain't doing shit for you.
All right.
Unless they're in cahoots too with the facility.
You never. These days, you can never. I wouldn't put nothing past them.
You never know. And a resident said there's a facility that's behind theirs, and they said, I think he said that one was worse than theirs, or there was the worst one, or one of the ones were worse than the other. The facility that's right behind theirs. The brother said that, so it's just like, and they own that property too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Gotta check that out.
But also, this is what they do in the African American and Mexican American communities. This is how they treat us. But if I go to Katy, I'm not gonna see that.
Of course not.
If I go to Kingwood, Tuscaloosa, Lake Houston, I'm not gonna see that. So it's time to tighten up. North Houston, Airline area, Third Ward, it's time to tighten up on these areas because we're human and we're people and we need all the things like everybody else needs. There's no reason why we are getting the short end of the stick and people are getting rich off of us and off of people's vulnerabilities too. So we're on top of all those things. And again, not a protest. Let us raise enough money. We're taking y'all asses to court because that's what needs to happen because they don't believe it until they actually see it.
The families of these residents and the residents themselves, I understand their fear, but at the same time, we need y'all in order to make this work. We can't leave them out. Like, they have to speak up. They have to be, have enough courage to change their situation. Because without them, we can only do so much. Right. We also need their help. Right. Families included. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for hopping on. I'm going to hop off and cook dinner.
All right. Thank you for your